I'm going to do a little bit of yoga with you. So I run a yoga class at Neuromotion Physiotherapy, which they have one in Vancouver as well, is physiotherapy clinic that kind of is geared towards neurological disorders, and they specialize in Parkinson's. And they offer some Parkinson's exercise classes specifically. So Neuromotion Physiotherapy. But I write a website, or I write a blog, and it's called Yoga Dopa. Get it? Levodopa, Yoga Dopa. And so I post on there regularly about talks that I'm doing, research that I have ongoing, yoga poses, you know, anything related to Parkinson's, dementia, caring, yoga. It's kind of a big mashup of all of that. And so there are lots of resources related to yoga poses and why yoga or meditation is helpful for Parkinson's on there. But there is a great book, and it's not mine, but it's by a woman named Renee Leverrier. So it's really small. I can put it up after. It's not on your handout, I'm sorry. Or you can ask me if you're really interested. But it's called Yoga for Movement Disorders. And she is a woman who has Parkinson's disease and who's been a yoga teacher her whole life. And so it's this really great book, and it's bound in a nice way that lies flat. Comes with a DVD, and there's some, some sequences for, some examples of sequences. And the thing is, it's branded Yoga for Movement Disorders, but it's great for everybody, right? The poses are the same no matter what you're dealing with. Just sometimes there's some few modifications that we need to do a little bit differently. And so it's a great resource if you're interested. It's called Yoga for Movement Disorders. So her and I co-teach a lot of workshops together, and she's a great resource. So Renee Leverrier, if you have questions. I'm getting a little bit off topic, but it'll take like 2 minutes. The music and movement, how interesting that plays with Parkinson's. Does anyone notice that? Music can kind of bring out a little bit more movement and agility in people. And there's a lot of research on that, especially at the University of Lethbridge, on how, how music taps into maybe a part of the brain that doesn't use the basal ganglia pathway. Have we heard of the basal ganglia before? It's the part of the brain, the substantia nigra is part of the basal ganglia, and that's where dopamine is used. And so we have these patterns that we can ingrain into our brain without using that pathway. And so music may tap into that. It's kind of related to muscle memory, right? How we can kind of sometimes remember steps that we once knew and it comes back to us. It also has to do with the rhythm of the music. And so there's certain beats that are actually better for Parkinson's. There are other beats of music that are better for other neurological disorders. And so that's kind of interesting. This isn't my area of research, so I can do my best to talk about this, but just a disclaimer. And so a tango beat, I don't know actually what the breakdown of a tango beat is, but it's been heavily studied in Parkinson's, and it can be very helpful for kind of re-engaging people and developing a little bit more agility and balance. And then I'm going to talk about Tai Chi because I think it's really important. And we practice, with my class, we practice a lot of the Tai Chi Walk. Has anyone done Tai Chi before? Yeah. And so just the basic of, we don't really have room to do it all together, but the basic Tai Chi Walk really focuses on keeping your weight on one leg, reaching your other leg out, and then transferring the weight. So there's this really big emphasis on transferring weight. And that is the common cause of loss of balance and falls in Parkinson's, is our brain forgets to transfer the weight. So that's why shuffling gait happens, because we forget to pick up our leg and transfer the weight. We don't forget, right? Our brain pathway, there's a little bit of a miscommunication there. And so Tai Chi is really good for helping with transferring the weight so that we practice that and we build maybe new pathways that help with that movement. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's do a little bit of stretching just for us because it's kind of nice. So maybe slide your chair out from the table a little bit if you have any room. You're not going to need a ton of room, but just so you're pushed out against the table. And so our spine moves in 6 different ways, 7 different ways. And so we're going to do the 7 movements of the spine. It's a great thing to do first thing in the morning. Spinal mobility can be really beneficial for Parkinson's, for everybody, right? Because gravity and sitting tends to have this effect, right? On everybody. It's a little bit more exaggerated sometimes in Parkinson's with a stooped posture. But everybody, we do things in front of us, right? This action doesn't really happen, okay? So 6 movements of the spine. I want you to think about how you're sitting first. So rock back and forth on your sitting bones and come to rest evenly between both sitting bones. We have these patterns, right? Whether we have Parkinson's or not. And, you know, dominant side or a weaker side tends to kind of shift the way we sit. And so specifically, like with me, I always cross my right leg over my left. So when I'm sitting in the car, I notice I'm sitting like this, even if my legs aren't crossed, right? So yoga is really about building new good habits in our body, whether it's with our mental health, emotional health, or our physical health. And so sitting evenly between both sitting bones, and our feet are kind of just underneath our knees, and our feet are nice and flat on the floor. Good. We really want to tap into the muscles that are behind those. So our abdominal wall is a layer of muscles. So we have those 6-pack muscles on the front, and then we have our obliques that go across, and they're right underneath. And then we have a muscle called our transverse abdominal muscle. And they run side to side like they're giving our spine a hug. And so those are the muscles we want to tap into. They're very functional. They help us get up from a chair. And how to engage those is to think about bringing your belly button in towards your spine and up a little bit towards your lower ribs. Okay, so I want you to, we're going to go down the abdominal wall a little bit first. So scooch, which is the technical term, scooch yourself to the edge of your chair. So you have a little bit of room behind you. So if you have any lower back or back issues, sometimes it can be caused by a weak core. And so this is a really safe way. We're going to warm up our core, and then we'll move our spine. So think about bringing your belly button in towards your spine and up a little bit towards your lower ribs. So there's a little bit of an engagement there. And then place your hands either on your lap, or you can reach them out in front of you. And then keeping everything the same from your hips to your shoulders. I'll turn to the side. Lean back until you can feel those abdominal muscles engage. Shaking sometimes can occur. And then maybe try and lift one leg up. And put it down and lift the other leg up. And put it down and try and lift both legs up at the same time. Good, and then come back up. Depending on how our body lengths are, we may need to lean back a little bit more. But it's the same pose if you're, sitting on the floor. You can do it. It's a little bit harder. You can do it in a chair. But really to find something that engages that deep belly can be really, really beneficial to functional movements, right? Because who cares if we can do 100 sit-ups if we can't get up out of a chair, right? Okay, so our spine is warm, so I want you to engage that muscle. Sit up nice and tall. Bring your belly button in towards your spine and up towards your ribs. Good. And then I want you to tuck your chin to your chest. This is the easy one. And round your spine. So let your head drop, let your shoulders drop. Good. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out your mouth and sink even lower. Really, just let your head go. Maybe shake your head no. No more cookies. Good. And then press into your feet and press into your sitting bones. Use that transverse abdominal muscle and sit up nice and tall. Good. So our spine flexes, right? We just flexed our spine. Our spine also extends. So I want you to think about extending our spine, right? This is what happens. But because we spend a lot of our day hunched over, our chin sticks out a little bit, right? Because we have to see where we're going, or else we'd be looking at the floor all the time. And so that can create a lot of tension in the back of our neck. So doing a spinal extension sometimes can be painful in our neck. So we want to avoid that. So a really great trick to protect our neck muscles is to take your tongue and put it to the back of your front teeth and press it there. And it engages all of these muscles in your neck, which I can't talk well do, so just pretend that I'm doing, right? So place your tongue to the back of your front teeth Engage those neck muscles. And then like you're a marionette, like someone has a string attached to your chest. Press your hands into your thighs and lift your chest up. And aim your chest maybe to where the ceiling meets the wall. And look there too. Think about bringing the bottom of your shoulder blades, the bottom tips of your shoulder blades down your back and together. Reach your chest forward, reach, reach, reach. Good. And then release and come all the way back up. Good. So a really safe spinal extension. You can do it while standing too, right? It's all the same movement, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so let's do some lateral flexion. So take your right hand to your shoulder and let your left hand drop down by your side. Good. So really important, you can let your tongue relax from your front teeth if you haven't done that yet. Okay. And really important to press evenly through both of your sitting bones, right? If we were standing up, you would press evenly through both of your feet. Same thing. And like you have a 100-pound dumbbell in your left hand, start to lean over to the left. Good. Now press into your left sitting bone and create some space between your left hip and your left ribs. And then arch over a little bit more. Good. And then do that again. Really press into your left sitting bone, lift up, and arch over. Good. And then come all the way back up. Good. Let your right hand drop. Bring your left hand to your shoulder. And do the same thing on this side. So press into both of your sitting bones. Create a nice tall spine. Really think about space between your hips and your ribs. Okay, reaching up nice and tall. And exhale, arching over to the right, like you have a 100-pound dumbbell in your left hand, or your right hand, sorry. Good, again, pressing into your sitting bones, lengthen the sides of your waist, and exhale. Good. Press into your feet and come all the way back up. Good. So we've done 4 movements, right? Flexion, extension, and then lateral flexion. Now we're going to twist. And so take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. I'm going to mirror you. Yeah, good. And then press into your sitting bones, sit up nice and tall, engage those transverse abdominal muscles. Good. And then we're going to start to move from the belly button. So move your belly button to the left. Then your waist moves to the left. Then your ribs. Then your chest. Then your shoulders. And finally your head. And really turn your chin to your left shoulder. Try and touch your chin to your left shoulder. Good, one more breath. And let me know if it ever gets there. And then exhale, start going, returning where you were, but reverse. So turn your head first, then your shoulders, then your ribs, then your waist. Good. And then keep going to the other side. So left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. Good, again, engage transverse abdominal, sit up nice and tall. Good, and then again, turn to the right, belly button, waist, ribs, chest, shoulders, and finally chin. Reach your chin towards your shoulder. Good, and then exhale, let it go. So turn your head, shoulders, good, chest, waist. Good, and then the 7th movement of the spine, hand on the top of your head, press into your sitting bones, and reach your head into your hand. Good. Engage your transverse abdominal muscles, and then let your hand go. You all just grew 2 inches. Good, so traction, right? Someone could hang us upside down by our feet. It would probably do the same thing. But just a reminder to sit up nice and tall. Good. So let's stand up. We'll do 2 more things. So before you stand up, I teach a lot of workshops on helping people stand up. So those transverse abdominal muscles are really important. You also want to be at the edge of your chair, right? The edge of your seat. And you want your feet to be underneath your legs as much as possible, right? So you want to tuck your feet underneath you. And when you're standing up from the chair, you want to think about taking off like an airplane, not like a helicopter, right? So I'll show you from the side. Because if you were taking off like a helicopter, this would happen, right? And how are you going to get your weight forward? And then you throw your weight forward and falls tend to happen. But if you tuck your feet underneath you and you want to bring your shoulders over top of your knees and you think about taking off up and forward like an airplane. Ooh, sorry. Does that kind of make sense? right? So you want to think about going up and forward instead of, you know, this kind of scrambling that sometimes can happen. You may need your chair, you may not need your chair. It's nice to have for balance. And we're just going to come into a nice squat. And so I want your feet, you know, hip distance apart. And hip distance, women tend to put their feet like this wide, right? We have this weird image of where our feet are, our hips are. Hip distance is about 2 fist widths apart. Okay, so however big your hands are, kind of that translates to your hips. So about 2 fist widths apart. Good. Press into the ball of the big toe, the baby toe, and the heel. Engage that transverse abdominal muscle. Make sure your ribs are nice and tucked in, right? We don't want to stick our ribs out. But we want our shoulders to be on our back. So think about squeezing your shoulder blades together and down. Yeah, like you're engaging your armpits to your hips. Good. And then our head sits between our shoulders, not forward. So if you need to put your finger on your chin and tuck your head back into place, then do that. Good. And then placing your hand on the back of your chair if you need it, and pretend like you're going to sit in the chair behind you. So you're going to sit back and you're going to send your hips back. So look down at your feet. So your knees are bent. You want your knees to be tracking directly over your toes, and your hips are moving back. Now try tapping your toes. That'll move your hips back. Yeah. Good. And then maybe if you can try and take your hands off and balance for 2 breaths. Inhale, just come up a little bit. Exhale out your nose and sink a little bit deeper. Good. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, sink a little bit deeper. Good. Hands into the chair, press into your feet, engage transverse abdominal muscle, and come all the way back up. Okay? Good. So let's do a balance before we sit back down, because this is yoga, right? So hanging on to the back of the chair, if you need it, we're going to stand on one leg, but we're going to do it really mindfully. So I want you to stand up nice and tall on 2 feet. Same cues. Press into your feet, gauge your belly, flatten your ribs, shoulders on your back, head between your shoulders. Good. That never changes. That checklist never changes. And then I want you to take your shoulders in your head and center them over top of your right foot. So all of a sudden there's a little bit less weight on your left leg. Maybe you can swing it back and forth a little bit. I know you can't see me, sorry. And then if that feels okay, bend your left knee. So your left foot comes off the ground. Good. And then engage your transverse abdominal muscles. Belly button in and up. Good. And then if you want to get a little bit crazy, you can think about taking your knee out to the side. Good. And then maybe play around with one finger on the chair, no fingers on the chair. Press into the ball of the big toe, the baby toe, and the heel on the right foot. Good. And then bring your leg back down. Shake out your right leg if you need to. Good. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, every posture in yoga is just a variation of this. Mountain pose, Tadasana, nice tall posture, right? Everything's just a variation. So again, this time center your shoulders over top of your left leg. And maybe there's no weight on your right foot. Maybe you can swing it. Maybe you can bend your knee. This is your transverse abdominal muscle working, right? So really engage that muscle. Use that to lift your knee up. Good. And then maybe taking your knee out to the right if it feels like it. Good. And then again, play with your balance. One hand, one finger. Good. One more breath in. And exhale, release. So we're going to do a breath called lion's breath. And it looks like this. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. And you're going to exhale out your mouth. I'll show you first. And you're going to bulge out your eyeballs and stick out your tongue. And I'm not joking. This is an ancient yoga breath. Inhaling. I'll show you first. Exhale. You're going to go. Perfect for Halloween, right? I am blind. I cannot see any of you. So it doesn't matter if you're laughing at me. I can't see. So we're going to do that all together 2 times, okay? And no one can see you. I'm the one being recorded, unfortunately, all right? Okay, so we're going to do lion's breath twice, okay? Twice. Inhaling in through your nose and exhaling. Okay, I want to see some Gene Simmons tongue, okay? Like real big tongue. Okay, ready? Inhale and exhale. Nice job. Okay? But it really activates all the muscles in your face, right? Can you feel it? So it's good to exercise your face. Singing is great for our throat and our face muscles too. Okay? So lots of different exercises. Okay, let's just finish with a couple breaths just to kind of leave the physical movement behind, and we'll move back into some self-care strategies. So whatever's comfortable, a nice comfortable posture, maybe that means resting your back against the back of the chair. Place your hands on your lap. Good. And so we're going to do it's called a Dirga breath, or a 3-part breath. And so you can close your eyes or you can keep them open. There's nothing really to see. But you're going to take a deep breath in, and I want you to breathe into your belly. So maybe take your hand and place it on your belly. Maybe your thumb where the belly button is. Good. And inhale. And on the inhale, you want your belly to move into your hand. So your belly should expand on the inhale. And relax on the exhale. Good. So inhaling, it's going to expand. And exhale, relax. And then place your hands on your ribs. And this time, take a deep breath in and feel your ribs expand. They actually expand in all 4 directions. And exhale, relax. And again, inhale. And exhale. Good. And then finally, place your hands on your chest. This is the part we don't really need any help with, right? Inhaling, our chest rises, and exhale, our chest falls. Good. So place your hands on your lap. We'll take a few breaths together, putting that all together. So you're going to take a deep breath in, and you're going to inhale into your belly, your ribs, your chest, and exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Last time, inhale, belly, ribs, chest, and exhaling it all out. And then just take a couple normal breaths. And so rigidity can not only happen in our body and in our face, but in our torso, right? And so deep belly breaths can help to stretch those intercostal muscles and really engage the thoracic cavity, right? And so stretching that part of our body out too. Okay, so thank you for moving with me.